start recovering and they want to do it. How many people involved? You see, 4, right? So 3 assistant, 1 expert, right? So now this lady is actually like trying to do a normal gait pattern based on their physical motion. Now you closely watch this guy. This guy face will show that how difficult this task. Although others are not showing, but this guy actually like clearly visible his face reaction. It is actually a heavier task. So others try to specify the patient, but this guy actually like probably is a senior assistant. So he's actually like probably experienced several people. He is not that, you can say, friendly. So now you can see the same thing can be make it in the initial training. After that, it can be automated with the help of simple robotic device. You can see the same thing. In addition to that, what we can do some kind of virtual reality or augmented reality. Okay, it makes actually like life very very simple, right? So this is what we are not taking away the physiotherapy or assistant. What we are trying to think about, we are trying to minimize their work so that they can actually like give some kind of more attention to other patients. Why this is so important? So as I already mentioned, our culture is keep going different. So now, very simple example I just want to say, we are keep proudly saying that we have youth population high in the current domain. Imagine 20 or 15 years later, we have middle and elderly people are very high. For them, we need to give some kind of attention. And as per the current culture, we are all nuclear family, right? So we will support this. And we have that many physiotherapists? No. So then you can give a climb. So I can start probably down the line 5 years later. I'll start n number of physiotherapists, like what engineering field have started. The same way I will boom the physiotherapy courses so that I will produce. Yes, but still the physical activity you cannot take away, right? So that is what the whole idea. So in that case, you can see like there are 4 therapy which are very important for lower limb. There are actually like, although there are more than 6, but the 4 therapies are actually like more important. In that, the hip abduction and adduction can take its second stage. In the sense, the first stage, every therapeutical motion is restricted in one single plane, which we call sagittal plane. So in the sense, hip flexion extension, knee flexion extension, and ankle flexion and extension. In the sense, it can be restricted in one single plane. So then 3 motion, 3 degree of freedom. So then you have to do it. In addition to that, so what else you need to have? So when the patient is actually like not able to do by his own, then you have to provide everything as a passive. So here passive means don't see that active and passive instrument. So here passive means the patient will not do anything. So every activity would be done by the robot or mechanized device. Okay. So then, so second task would be the adjustable leg, because the leg size would vary. So your orthosis, which we call supporting system or wearable exoskeleton, this is supposed to be adjustable. And similarly, hip joint location also vary based on the length of the leg and based on their fitness, right? So then what we are actually looking, the payload capability is supposed to be high and precision should be very, very high. And the system supposed to be stable and simple, which supposed to be ease of maintenance. And the actuator should be removed from the orthosis or the support system so that patient would be comfortable. And as per the Indian community, it should be low cost and low power. And for emergency and safety side, the system is supposed to be modular and as well as self-locking so that it would be much more safer. And when the patient start recovering, it should provide some kind of active force control so that it can give active assistant or active therapy. And your feedback supposed to be given from the orthosis so that you can make the closed loop very efficiently. So if you do these all, there are 2 kind of thing. So obviously there are 3 kind of rotations, 2 kind of thing. So you can directly connect each of every joint actuator and you can make an active orthosis, in the sense active exoskeleton, or you can do some kind of indirect. So these 2 things people call exoskeleton or active orthosis. So one of the classical example called motion maker, which is produced by Swartech, but this is the test prototype which developed by EPFL Switzerland. I'm fortunate to be there in that lab at least a week. So that's why I put this particular figure. So this actually like make joint axis fully determined, physiological movement can be properly given, and force and position can be controlled each and everything, and the data can be available. But the problem is the robot axis have to be aligned with the anatomical axis based on the physical nature. It's supposed to be adjusted. Because of that, what happened? The longer setup time and challenge happened. For example, stroke affect patient, the leg would be treated. So it is very difficult to make that close to the actual. So then what the other side, end effector base, okay, so which is what we call actually like passive orthosis base. So you can see like now the orthosis is not there like this. So the actuator is actually like take away from the support system. So now you can see like this is actually like very simple and easy to control, easy to adjust. But the problem is the limb portion may not be fully determined. But here it is fully determined, and the limiting the force because you don't know whether you are doing it right way or not. Because of that, there is a chances of having an injury, right? So we are actually like trying to think both, and we have made a few attempts. Before that, I just want to give the you can say development in the stationary trainers. There are several attempts which are come with you can say active and passive orthosis base. For example, this and this are actually like active, so these all actually like passive, and this is again active, and this is also active, but you can see like these all actually like passive. This is one of our attempt, and this is completely different. It is actually like cable operated. Okay, so now we look at the state of the art. You can see like some people attempt, yes, some people attempted with the serial robot, some people attempted with the parallel robot. We want to expand the parallel robot attempt. So in that sense, the major task, one is the capturing the therapeutical motion. Okay. So then you need to make the statically balanced passive orthosis so that the physiotherapy effect can be taken out, and we can make this passive orthosis can be used for what you call sensing the joint action. Then you can actually like make the foot plate or end effector based rehabilitation mechanism where the orthosis is connected with the foot plate operating mechanism. It can actually like energize the system, and all kind of passive range of therapeutical motion we need to give in that one specific training called gait training. And then the health and recovery monitoring need to be done. Even it can be directly cloud connected, then it can be a smart monitoring system, but minimum it should have a health monitoring system. So you should connect several EMG sensors so that you can actually like get the monitoring, so that if it is a thickness happening or not, that we can sense. Then the same system can extend not only passive range, it can go even active and active assistive therapy. If that goes well, even we can use the same system to make some kind of parameter estimation. For example, the person unfortunately he has actually like lost his one of the limb, and his another limb is actually like physically healthy. So then what we can do for making a you can say artificial limb, we can actually use the limb parameter based on the other leg, and we can actually like do the therapeutical motion, and we can estimate what would be the limb parameter. Based on that, we can actually like plan to come up with the artificial limb. This is what I said. The teleoperation monitoring also can be bring it, so that the patient need not to come to the physical training session. He can actually stay in home, and this device can go. It can be hiring basis. So based on the system, it can be actually like monitor, and the doctor can actually like keep follow it, and he can actually like suggest the improvement. Based on the improvement, he can suggest the different therapy, or he can ask to visit the hospital, or he can actually like say that you have recovered, you can actually like disconnect your regular routines and all. So then this is actually like one of the best one, right? So based on that, what one methodology we can think, since we are thinking about making a lower limb rehabilitation robot, so then we think about first recognition, so that we have already done the identification and recognition, it is there. Then based on that, the first thing is we have to think about the passive orthosis. That passive orthosis is supposed to be statically balanced. So this design we need to do. So based on this design, what we can do, So based on the type of therapy, we can understand what kind of workspace. So based on the workspace, we can think about what's supposed to be your foot plate operating system. Then based on that, we can do the dynamic model. Then we can do the motion analysis. Based on the motion analysis, you can do the design analysis. Once both motion and structural dynamics are fine, then you can go for prototype where both passive orthosis and the foot plate operating system. So these two are actually like a mechanical side. So the other side, the controller is supposed to come. So we can start from the controller. We can propose some kind of robust or adaptive motion control. Then the stability need to be proved. Then we can actually like understand all those things based on the robustness study. Once this is complete, then you can actually like try to enable both hardware and controller, and then you can start making your clinical gate at the end. So this is what the overall. So every stage can go back and forth, then you can make it. So this is the methodology we also tried. Okay. So based on that, what we have seen first, a statically balanced system. So then the statically balanced system means I saw immediately the drafter would be the best option. So the drafter is one of the best. Why? This particular joint, what you have at the end. So the drafter orientation, whatever you drag, this orientation will not change until you change this knob, right? So in the sense, what this parallelogram is taking, this parallelogram is taking the orientation of these two link is not accumulating at the end. So this is one philosophy I want. So now if I connect some spring, what happens? This can take away the gravity also. So what that means? Your potential energy is constant throughout your cycle. So what happened? So you will actually like take away your motion. So that is what we are trying to do. So for that, the classical example, you can see the radio jockey is, you can say mic, or you can see the table lamp. So these are statically balanced devices, right? You can see the parallelograms are there. In addition, there is a spring, each parallelogram associated. So now whenever you drag this headlamp, so the system would be stable. Similarly, wherever you drag this mic, the system will stable, it won't fall. The same mechanism we adapt and improved, and we have patented. So that's what we have attempted. This is one of our joint project with Russia. So since it is a patented, I did not show here. So we have come up very close to this. So there are two parallelogram mechanism along with two helical springs. So this makes, you can see the statically balanced. So now the statically balanced orthosis we connect. So to the leg, what happened? This would be adjustable locations. Okay. So that based on your weight, the spring location can be adjusted. Now it can be statically balanced after. So now the physiotherapy will do the exercise along with this orthosis. So based on that, what you can see, the motion of the each joint would be captured. Then you can attach that with, you can see this device. Okay. So I'll come back. So before that, you can see this is the overall architecture which we have come up. So initially the measurement would be done based on the passive orthosis. Then that would be given some kind of recommended therapy and therapeutical motion. This would be fed to the database. This database would be gone through or connected through your desktop computer. This desktop computer would have two emergency switch, one at patient end, one at the supervisor. The supervisor is nothing but attendant. This attendant would actually like monitor the computer activity along with the patient. So now the patient, wherever he feel some kind of discomfort, immediately the emergency switch can actually like turned off. Then it can actually like stop on the safest mode. Now you can see inside, it is a very classical side. The serial chain of exoskeleton is connected with the patient, and the parallel planar robot would actually like energize, and this is actually like connected with the simple motors and sensors and the tag system, right? So this is the architecture. So now when we talk about the workspace requirement, so we have gone through the literature and even we interact with the physiotherapy, then we found that these are the three extreme motions of each, and based on this we have come up with the workspace on the sagittal plane. So the shorter, and this is upper limit of the operable limb size, and we have taken some kind of narrow down and make it a rectangular workspace. this rectangular workspace can be fulfilled with any parallel robot. That is what we are actually like intended. In addition to that, the therapist one additional motion recommend, which we call continuous passive motion. What that means? Only one joint activation, it can do all three motions, which we call this. So you can see like when we move this to and fro, you can see like all three joints would energize. But this is not, you can say, dedicated therapy. This is just for muscle activation. Okay, so this muscle activation option also should be there in your therapeutical device. So based on these all input, we have come up with a device called Ankur LL, so which means actually like a baby plant in Sanskrit or Hindi. So this is mainly for gait training we have come up. So this is the adjustable seat with the passive orthosis, and this is the you call foot plate operating mechanism, which is simple three you can say degree of freedom planar parallel manipulator. Okay, so which is 2 PRP and 1 PPR. So 1 PPR is having some hesitance, so that's why we have double it. So 2 PPR has come. So now this is what the system look like, and this is we have fabricated in-house with the available system to demonstrate the system function. So it was actually like working good. So, and this is actually like patented. Even the mathematical model we have developed and we have verified in analytical, numerical, virtual prototype. Finally, physical prototype also we have verified. So this is the physical prototype based on simple Arduino based microcontroller we have used, which is Atmega 32. Then we have actually like come up with a DC geared motor, and this is the therapy we have given, and this is the final outcome. So which we have seen that the error is actually like very close to the desired manner. So we have actually like restricted within plus or minus 1 degree in each joint. So that was actually like fulfilled in our case, and the duty cycle also not varied. But we have actually like improved the prototype much more. But this is the initial prototype. So this is the simple demonstration for continuous passive motion, and this is the overall picture how it looked like. Okay, so this is the prototype which we have made, and this is the attempt. And now this is actually like we have given this technology for Swartech company, and I don't know when they will actually come up, because we have to do the clinical trial with the full size. This is a scale down for small aspect, and the adjustable orthosis we have not done complete. So that is what the overall goal. So there are few other attempts we made. So this is another attempt, and this is currently we are working on. Okay, so this is actually like tripteron is one of the configuration, so that we have modified, and now this can actually like work on all four possible therapy which required for the limb. But this is only resisted or restricted for sagittal plane, but this is even the frontal plane also can work. So based on that, so one additional device we have come up. So this is actually like you can see simple sitting type. So you can actually like see this is simple hybrid manipulator. The first joint is actually like serial, and the second and third joint is actually like parallel. So this can actually like provide vertical movement and the rotation about this, and this move the x-axis. So this actually like even we have come up with the physical prototype, and this is the therapeutical clinical gate we have given, and the experimental also like we have done. And this has advantage that the same device can be expanded later on. This is early bed. The same device can be elevated for the what they call gait training with the body weight. It's the same device but elevated with body weight support, and we can bring the screen so that can be used for training. So this advantage we have with this, and we have tried not only Arduino based, even we have tried with something like a D-Space commercial system also. We just tried how the device looked like, how it is actually like working. So we have used a dummy leg and other things. Okay, so these are the few attempts we made. And coming back, what is the upcoming robots based on their configuration, how the assistive robots are coming? So assistive means we can always see this is one of the example, but you can see like assistive robot can be a nurse or rescue robot or exoskeleton, which can do even normal day-to-day life enhancement, simple what you call kind of therapeutical robot, but it is come in a bigger way. It's look like how the gymnasium is there each and every street. Like that, you have a physiotherapy centers, rehabilitation centers. So where you no need to afford individual system, you can have a rental basis. Wherever you have a problem, you can actually go and do that particular gait training or particular therapy. And this is what one of the popular in the recent days. So wheelchair with manipulator, and this is actually like the other side, the home or a domestic vehicle manipulator system, which can be work for kitchen. And this is another vehicle manipulator system for, you can say, something like a department store, where the limb affected customer is coming, he cannot stand for a longer time, he can give the list. It is not for everybody, it can be given that only needy people. The two robots will go, and the fish will collect and put it in the basket, and it would be bill it and given to the needy people, probably elderly or something like limb affected people can come and collect it, right? So in that sense, what really the issues are, technology we need to bother, we need to bother about the safety, and the user interface supposed to be more friendly, because sometimes the user may not be literate, even literate may not know the technicality. So the user interface is supposed to be very sophisticated, but it should be user friendly. And the maintenance supposed to be less maintenance or no maintenance, in the sense ease of maintenance supposed to come. So that way you can make the system much better. But the issue is actually like, for example, you come up with a device, the device actually like fail, who would be responsible? Whether the inventor or manufacturer or the supplier or installer or the intender or the owner of the device or the user, who would be the responsible? So you should have an ethical standard, so that need to be properly drafted. Then we can actually like come with some kind of secured nature. So in that sense, we are actually like thinking about how we can make the market, because all the prototypes are actually like still in the what you call research base. So how we can make that? So in that sense, we are coming up with some kind of technology. The basic research always happening, but that basic research supposed to go as a translational research program, so that it can actually like push to clinical environment. Then parallelly, one more pilot program can come with connected with industry, then it can create a market, then the clinical research and application can demonstrate, finally it can go to the market. Right now what happened, most of our research is restricted in the base, and then it would be one of the showcase product in our lab, but it should go a translational, and finally it's supposed to go to market. So right now India is actually like looking towards this, but in Europe and all, it always like a translational, but in India it is actually like basic research. If you go any IIT lab or NIT lab, if you go probably any of the research lab, you can see like this is 2010 PhD student product, this is 2012 PhD student product, like that you will say this is my first student work, this is second student work. It is still sitting in the lab. Sometime it would be nobody is looking after, right? Why? Because we are working only basic research, and we attempt, we write a paper, we graduate and sit relaxedly, but we don't have a translational research program. So we have to think that way. And if we think about, so the stage wise how it goes, so we are focusing, myself and my group is focusing the early bed return, so where the functional ability of the patient and technological complexity is addressed. But once it is start recover, people think about body weight, then overground, then we go with weight loading and real time. This is a wearable exoskeleton, this is the modern day approach. Okay, the same wearable exoskeleton with assistive like a crutches, but this is what we are actually extending, this is what we are upcoming. So in that sense, what we are actually like looking at as a emerging, the emerging is a wearable exoskeleton even. So I am having one project with the DRDO care lab for a wearable exoskeleton. So in the sense, so you can see all the people say these are established, but still people actually like still working on this. So you can see like the years and all, 2011, 2017, 2019, that kind of thing, right? But we are actually like looking after, or the wearable exoskeleton is the emerging field. This is where we are standing in the current Okay, this is actually like grounded exoskeleton. This is end effector based exoskeleton. Both are actually like more or less established and people improving it. But this is what we are actually like looking at. Okay, so this is the way I'm actually like sealing it, this particular talk. So with that, I'm actually like closing this particular talk with the selected references, and probably I will close my thanks, then we will take up the questions. So this is the lab which I come across. So the lab name is Safe Robots Lab. So basically I'm working in a multidisciplinary, in the sense I work even in robotics in different domain, service, assistive field and entertainment side. So that's why our lab name called Safe Robots. So even agriculture field or war field or marine field I used to work. Similarly, assistive in the sense the assistive can go with a simple medical assistive or even actually like wheelchair with the manipulator, that kind of attempt. I already said a service in the sense it can be go in a warehouse service or outdoor service. But the entertainment, we earlier worked with the Nova robot, but now I changed that to into exploration. Okay. So these are the cases, and these are the few physical prototypes which we made in our lab, and some of them are commercially purchased. For example, Robotnik, there are two platforms which we were purchased, and some of the agriculture robot and other things are actually like we fabricated ourselves. This is one of the underwater biofish which we developed in house, like that. Okay, so with that I'm closing this particular talk from my end. So we are open for the question. So I supposed to acknowledge because so I supported because of several funding agency I supposed to support. And these two pictures, it is not for self promo, but I always personalize a feel, because this is the photo which I took as the student at the end. This is my final year at PhD level, and this happened in Nagoya University in Japan. I was there for 2 weeks. This is a friendship fellowship along with a conference presenting. And this Nava robot SoftBank launched first time in outside Europe, and this happened in 2010. So that time they brought you can say good number of robots to each lab, and they just want to explore. So I had a chance to work with those in that particular time. This is the last photo as a student, and this is the last photo as a postdoctoral researcher. So this happened in KAIST. This has happened in Daejeon Exploration, or you can say conventional hall, as the last conference I attended as a postdoc. So this is one of the robot which we worked in KAIST for, you can say, social economical, or you call social interaction robot. This used for museums. So this is what the case. And I was expecting in soon after this may happen. Okay, and you want to know more about me, you can always see. I usually run two NPTEL courses. So one on wheeled mobile robot that used to happen in, you can say, December. So the other one is actually like mechanics and control of robotic manipulator. This happened in July. Even right now, one is going on. And if you have any question, so better you can write email. That is the easiest way to reach me. So that's all from my end. So now it is open for questions.
Dear participant, the platform is open for questions. You can ask, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Umakant, I think he raised his hand. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I wanted to ask you about your Ankur LL, sir. I saw that it
Yes.
was more mechanical, but I wanted to know that do you take any real-time data? Like, is there any sensors in that?
Yes, yes. No, the
Because
prototype which I shown is actually like a mechanical prototype. Later on, I told, right? So we had a tie-up with one of the EPFL lab, and we are working. And the other prototype we are working jointly with one of the Russian university, because here funding is different and their funding is different. And we usually work with the two kind of sensors. Okay, one is IMU, which is mainly for the positioning side, because although you have potentiometer in the orthosis, or probably you can say encoder in the orthosis, you need the limb positions. So for that, we need to take IMU signal. In addition to that, we have SMEMG signals. Okay, so this SEMG signals also like we collect so that the biometric signals we will receive. And the therapy which we tried is basically taken from the clinical gate data, which was actually like open source. So there are actually like several gate data are available in the open source. So you can actually like based on your limb size, if you feed, so the suggested clinical gate data would be given. Then based on that, you can actually like feed into your model. This is one side, or the physiotherapy directly involved with the device, and passive orthosis along with a limb would be experimented, and that data would be captured with a simple potentiometer and IMU signal. Then we will feed it to the device to test it. So there are actually like 3 set of sensors we usually use.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, mainly SEMG signal is actually like very important.
Okay, sir.
Good morning, sir. This is Umakant.
Yes.
I am continue my MTech in additive manufacturing NIT Warangal. Sir, my query is that if I want to work on the biomedical devices and I want to pursue my career toward the biomedical devices or robots, any scope in India, in outside of you know the what is the scope of India, and outside so many university are offered the biomedical course also.
No,
What I
here,
will
yeah,
do
here
right
also.
now to improve my career toward the biomedical sector?
No,
Currently,
here
what is
also
your
there
suggestion?
are.
I want to know.
No, there are several labs are working. For example, my collaborator and my mentor in IISc is actually like a very strong hand in bioengineering. Okay, so Professor Anand Suresh in IISc, although he is from mechanical engineering, but he is the co-founder of biosystems engineering program in IISc. So he used to work on biomaterials and as well as biosystems, biosensors, bioactuators, everything. And this is one group, very classical example you can see, although he's from mechanical engineering, but he used to work in bio. And like that, there are several attempts. Even my own colleague who is working on bio engineering is basically from materials and manufacturing engineer. So he used to work in biosystems engineering, especially like additive side. So he's thinking about making a bone based on, you can say,
Yes, sir.
biomaterials.
That's exactly my question actually.
Yeah, and he used to work on even the other side, bone drilling using, you can say, robotic device. So like that, there are several attempts. Every IIT and NITs, you can see like 1 or 2 people definitely working, and you have to actually like see different way. Don't see just like that their profile. You go through their Google Scholar, or you just go through the papers in worldwide and narrow down to India. You can see like you can easily find the people, right people in the right direction. So you have to do survey yourself. Whenever you want to work in any field, you have to see what that particular lab, whether they are actually like continuing that research or not, and their expertise is actually like fall in that or not. They also want to experiment, or just it's a byproduct they have come up. That kind of ideas you can actually get when you do a survey. For example, if you look at it, the paper done in 2012, but after that nothing happened and there is nothing, then you can see like it probably initially they attempted, later on they might have dropped. There is a two reason. Maybe there is no suitable student further to continue that, or probably the professor has moved in different area. So like that you can find and reach them. You see, now it is very close and open. One side is close in the sense very close. I mean to say they are easily reachable. That is what I mean to say close. Open in the sense now all the professors are very open to interact with, you can say, any new incomers. For example, if someone wants to work in lower limb rehabilitation or probably service robot, they want to expand, so they can actually like freely write to me. If the bandwidth match with us, so we will further extend. Otherwise we will say that the bandwidth is not match. So you will get to know whether it is going to work or not. So in that sense, you do a survey, then reach them and pursue further. This is the way we can work. This is the way I also got several connections. When I was in Germany, I reached one of the EPFL professor just email, and I was there in Germany. Then this person said that why can't you visit our lab for a week or for 2 weeks? And I told them when I went there and I presented, then they were actually like happy to collaborate with me. So like that, some connections will happen. Okay. So you should not restrict. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Before I asking the question, I some research on this in this question also. I found that in India, it's some plenty of opportunities there, but in US, in Germany, so many opportunities there also. How to decide the taking the decision before taking the decision? I want to know what is your suggestion to look at after this.
No, if I
So
am in your mind or I am in your stand, I'll just see. So, what I want to be after 5 or 10 years. Okay, where I
yes,
want to
sir.
be. I just to
Yes, sir.
see, okay, for example, when I was doing PhD, I want to see myself in IIT as a faculty. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
then what I supposed to do? So similarly, you want to see like after 5 years where you want to. You want to work in some of the good industry, or you want to start your own startup, or you want to work in academia. So these all make sense. So if you want to work in academia, then you want to see what kind of problem you want to take. So the problem is actually like going to sustain when you come up, when you finish your degree, that the trust is still alive, that you have to see, you have to anticipate that. So that way only you have to plan. So it is all actually like some kind of strategic planning when you want to choose any course. For example, you have a PhD offer in probably MIT and you have a PhD offer in IISc. First,
Yes,
don't blindly see MIT and IISc. So in MIT, which field you are going to work? In IISc, which field you are going to work? So how the scope in next 5 years or 10 years? So then it actually like makes sense, right? So whenever I take my PhD student, I will see whether if I put him in this particular field, whether he would able to ensure his future there or not. So that way only I will give a problem. Simply classical problem, I don't want to work. Okay, even if the classical problem that give a breakthrough in some modernization, or probably breakthrough in some advantage in certain field, whether this guy will sustain at the end as a academician or industrialist based on his core research. That way you have to see. You see, I am basically from marine side, right? But where I am standing is different, right?
sorry, of course.
Yes. So that's what. So you have to see where you want, how you want. So my core strength is dynamics and control. So I enrich
Yes,
wherever I work. I see like is there any match in my special expertise area.
yes, sir.
I can still
Exactly.
correlate with my core. The same way, if you feel, so you can actually like choose which university or which country you want to go or which program you want to go. It is very easy. It is all simple logic.
Yes, sir. Sir, it is the great thing actually. Like, it's a great thing to make the decision. But if I taking the decision in future, it's necessary to read the all the Google scholars also as the related pages. Okay. But how to contact with the means in USA, or if I interest any institute, it's any suggestion for me?
You write mail, nothing wrong. So you see,
Yes,
nobody
sir.
is going to propagate your email, right? So when your email is genuine, people will respond.
Okay,
It
sir.
is
Thank you,
nothing
sir.
related with what you have affiliation. So the content and how you approach, that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you, sir. It's a great.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Hello, this is Vasu. Just I want to ask one small question. In the ankle, that one, if the forces will be different for the different patients. So
Yes.
the thing. So how you can have the artificial intelligence for that one? Can
No,
you
right
make?
now I told right. So there are two things. So there are two way we can do. One is actually like passive range of motions. If it is a passive range of motion, so based on the therapeutical motion, okay. So for example, I am the patient and the therapist is doing it, right? What frequency, what slowness, what level is doing, that we will capture and we will just replicate. Okay. So my entire trajectory would be known to me. Okay. So in
the from the feedback from the patient is also important, no? Because he will
no,
get the
that's what. Let me complete. There are two things. That's what I want to say. So simply passive range of motion means I just see only the trajectory. Okay. So if the trajectory is followed, whatever the force generated by the physiotherapy, the same thing would be retained. Okay. So in that sense, the trajectory means my angular displacement, velocity, and acceleration. Even if I want to go much smoother, even my, you can say, the jerk motion, all I will capture and give it the proper profile. This is one way, which is mainly for passive range of motion where the patient cannot do anything. Okay. So if the patient is actually like start generating some force or resistance, then we need to have an active force. Then we will try to use the classical control theory where we will use admittance control, or you can say impedance control. But your question is whether we will do a data driven model or not. So this data driven model is required when only if we want to see our actuator is not enough, because the same actuator set is going to work with both force and as well as motion. So classical control will work as a hybrid control. So it would be switching one to another. Okay. So when I want to actually like follow a profile with carrying a object. So then when I carrying object, that load supposed to be something, that load also I need to maintain, but the motion also supposed to be follow. But I have only one set of actuators. The same actuators will be providing both my end effector forces and moments and as well as motions. So then I have to actually like see. So in the modern days, we actually like work, for example, myself, we work with something like regular therapy, what the therapist is doing, their EMG signal with the patient and their IMU signal, which will give the acceleration and further force requirement. So based on that, we will actually like make some strategy, which is a behavioral based control. But the behavioral based control is required only in higher level. But the initial level, it doesn't require behavioral cycle. It is a classical cycle based on the trajectory which you have obtained based on your initial therapy motion, that is sufficient.
Thank you. You have nicely explained.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Vasu. Shantha sir, Dr. Vasu is our faculty in mechanical department, so we closely work in the field of mechatronics and robotics.
Sure. It
Anyone
is nice
else?
to hear. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Dr. Santhakumar. Thank you for the interesting talk. I am Ganesh Bapat. I am faculty in BITS Pilani Goa campus, and I work in biomechanics and assistive devices. I have a question related to that Ankur LL device which you showed. So typically in externally variable devices, a pistoning or relative motion between the limb and device is seen. So is there any such pistoning motion while performing exercise in that device? And if not, how did you arrest that actually?
No, you see, like we assume that it is first of all, it's a parallel manipulator. Okay. So parallel manipulator, we make it's a planar case. So now it would be restricted only in a sagittal plane. Now,
Okay.
when you do a sagittal plane, we have a wearable exoskeleton that would be adjustable in length and constrain the joints. Now, this is actually like a second class of what you call rehabilitation device, which is we call end effector base. So we connect the orthosis end, in the sense ankle point connected with my foot plate operating system. So now you can see like it is all over constraint system. Okay. So now the sideline will not be there. The sense abroad motion will not do. Only thing it would take the ankle point in the XY direction, and ankle point itself will rotate based on the motion. That's all. So
Okay.
in that case, we did not see any adverse effect. So only issue will come. So if the power goes or something goes, what will happen? So that's why we have come up with the linear ball screws, which are actually like energizing the system. Okay. So that too, like it's a self-locking screws. So in the sense, if the power goes, it will retain the same place. In that case, the safety would be predominantly ensured. Now there is a problem, may people ask. So the patient is actually like feel something like discomfort. So he press the emergency stop. What would be the case? So then the system would not be like over constrained. So now your actual like system would be make it free. So immediately there would be a emergency switch which enabled. So you would have a support of your limb, but your constraint would be free. So then what happened where we keep initially set, right? The same setting point will come and the lock where your thigh and the crest or you call chin would be locked, right? That would be free, but your chin and thigh would be supported by the device. That's all. So in
Okay.
that sense, even emergency stop would be safer.
Okay. And clinical trials you are now planning on the device, right?
No, clinical trial, right? In European country, we cannot do it with
Yes.
human
No, in
object,
India.
right? So in India, actually, like we need to get a proper prototype to be done, right? So we are actually like transfer the technology. So we don't know like when the physical prototype will come and then do it. Right now, we are following up with the Swiss company. So we hope the prototype will arrive. And this pandemic actually like delayed everything. But the other prototype, which is actually like happening in Russian project, the full size prototype is done, and there is no restriction as long you do it in lab trial. So we have done a lab trial with physically fit human. It was actually like doing good. So
Okay.
we will actually try to adapt at least there, because here actually like fabricating with a full size is not so easy.
Yes.
But there actually like the manufacturing facility is actually very good. So that is the way we are using the collaborator for the manufacturer side.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Santhakumar. I have one small question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, I work in the field of this additive, this welding and welding-based additive manufacturing techniques. So where we closely use this robotic systems. So actually, if you might have heard about the term VAM, wire arc additive. So there they are 3D printing the complex structure with the help of a welding robot. So there is no established slicing software or slicing package like available in other 3D printing machines. So what people do, there are some software or packages like robots, CDK and Pura is there. So they have this package of robot 3D printing. So they generate their geometry there and they simulate the printing. And after that, they transfer the code into G codes and M codes of welding robots. So my question is, what challenges one may encounter while considering integration of these platforms with a robot like KUKA or any
No, you see, this like CNC technology is actually like limited. Okay. So I'll tell you, like the CNC technology is not come up as like real motion technology. For example, you take a G code, M code that has some restricted routines. But when you talk about robots, robots are actually like more free moving motion systems.
Yes.
Especially like in the modern days, even the free moving system is controlled based on behavioral cycle. The sense you actually like teach, learn, and act. So that cycle is enabled. So for this teach, learn, act, there are several models. One is knowledge based, which is even 80s also people started using. So we call knowledge based system. Later on, people called a neural network based system and all. Right now, the same neural network is very well established as learning based things, which is data driven model. But if you actually like go ahead with the same technology, so people expect you call the conventional to the modernization. This is one. So, and if you go with the CNC normal technology, it would be predefined conventional control strategies.
Okay.
So it may not be even we call adaptive control or supervisory control. These all actually like somewhat not as the robotic adaptive control. Okay. So that side one difficulty will come, and second difficulty, the motion would be very much limited.
Okay.
The free moving system would be restricted in certain motion.
Okay.
So that way would be coming. But now I could see like even some people initially come up with a manipulator, later on they launch as a 3D printer. Only thing, they will not go with the G code, M code, they will go with some open source codes or probably ROS based codes, robot operating system based gazebo or some kind of codes they use, and then they establish as a 3D printer.
Yes.
So for example, even the prototype which I made for you can say Tripteron, which is one of the isotropic Cartesian manipulator that can be easily used as a 3D printer. Even few attempts made in China and all.
Okay.
Which can make even actually like a big table size 3D printing can be done with that.
Okay.
So mass level. So, but the application is different, right? So that way, if it is only slicing, then probably CNC technology can be restricted. It can be sufficiently supported, but you want some kind of curved.
Yes. For
So
profiles.
then, yeah, then it is not that as easy in CNC.
Okay, so for that, robots will be better.
Robot should be open-ended rather than closed-ended like CNC.
Okay.
You would have noticed, like for example, you want to make a contour cutting in CNC machine, and normal cutting straight stroke, it is very easy for the CNC machine. But if you give a contour cutting, it required a little more complex inputs.
So contour profiling or contour or complex curve can be much easily printed with the help of robots.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I hope I made some intuition or probably some ignition in the field of lower limb rehabilitation. So thank you for the patience and listening to me. Thank you. Then. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Pallash, shall we end our session here?
Yeah, we can end our session now, sir.
Any announcement for participants?
No, the session will be as per the schedule only. It will start again at 2:30, and we have another speaker from University of Sussex, Dr. Harish Godapa. So he will be delivering his lecture on soft material technologies for bio-inspired robots. So another very good professor, and kindly take opportunity to interact with him again. So we all will meet at 2:30 again, and very much thank you for the participants that they are actively participating. Though we are less in numbers, but whatever the participation is there, it's very active participation. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll meet again at 2:30.